Hey,
Hi.
welcome to Paranormally Blonde. We're a little different tonight, as you can see.
Yeah.
One, I have a partner sitting next to me. This
Yeah.
is Jen. This is my friend Jen, and she is part of Soul Sisters Paranormal. I have been road tripping, so this is what you get tonight because, this is just what you get tonight. I've been in 6 states in 3 days. So I've landed here in Tennessee. And I am at the amazing historic Scott County Jail with Miranda and Kris and Jen, and my sister is in the background. Hey, Danny. So we just thought it'd be fun to do the live here tonight, right? And we're gonna talk about some fun stuff that we have going on, and maybe discuss a little bit of our investigation that we're gonna do tonight here in the haunted jail. I'm so excited. Jen has not done it either, really. So this is kind of her first investigation.
First for me too.
Here, so. Kind of exciting. So how have you been, Dee Dee? I haven't really talked to you because I've been on the go.
I know. And I've been sitting here chomping at the bit to find out what you guys have been up to. It's really exciting to me, and I wish I was there, but next time.
Next time. Yes, I wished you were here too. Well, I showed you before, but I got this. This is an Ohio mood ring that I bought at a rest stop in Ohio.
At a rest stop.
You gotta buy fun stuff along the way, right?
Yeah.
So my sister and I started out Saturday morning from Detroit, and we drove through Ohio, Pennsylvania, and headed down to West Virginia. And we had an amazing night with a paranormal hangout with Get Haunted at the Heyman House. And we got to get her on because, first of all, the owner of the home, Teresa, is a lovely, lovely soul. She's just amazing. And the house is super cool.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. 3 stories, great, and amazing stories within its walls. And had some very interesting things happen there.
Oh, yeah. I saw a picture with you in a mirror.
Yeah, I did some scrying, but as I was discussing with Miranda, she kind of thought it was a cross between scrying and human pendulum, I think she used.
Oh.
So I'm gonna have to learn
to bring her in and find out.
Yeah, a little bit. It was a very interesting thing. I chose not to stare at myself in the mirror because I tend to see something else if you're staring, right? It's just gonna happen. So I decided to throw in a Reiki session, and I don't know what happened. It was a very unique pulling my forehead in, and you can kind of feel when you're about to touch something, right? Yeah, that feeling was not there. It was almost as if I was going to put my head into water or right through the mirror and just be somewhere else. It was very odd.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how long I was in it.
Was anybody?
Yeah, Rob is on here. Rob, I don't know if you noticed how long I did that for. I kind of just lost track of time when I was doing it.
That's interesting, like a little bit of a time slip too.
Yeah, it was a very interesting thing. So I'm trying to decide how I want to write my experiences at Heyman.
Yeah.
Do I blog it or do I do post? I don't know.
Both.
Both. He says about 15 minutes. I did not feel like I was standing there for 15 minutes.
Wow.
So.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and he was the one that was taking the pictures. I had no idea he was walking around me.
Wow. Ooh, interesting.
So it was a good time. So hello to everybody on the side. Travis, hello. Danny, and of course my sister sitting over there is on here. Rob, of course, and Michael is here. All right, so let's just get started.
Yeah.
There they are. There's the other 2 that are sitting here. Kris and Miranda, thank you so much for it. First of all, hosting us here at your amazing jail. This location, guy, you can't eat. First of all, everybody just get in your car, just suck it up, get in your car and do a big mini adventure. Seriously, it's fine. And honestly, as we drove from the north down, gas gets cheaper. So put that in your back.
There's an incentive for sure.
Just do it. Just come on down. This location is completely worth it.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, this is great. So we're you guys have been like working hard to get your summer kind of going, right, with the jail. So what do you guys have coming up here at the historic Scott County Jail? Anything exciting and new?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we're always putting up something exciting and new. So for July, we're actually going to have some interesting ghost walks and some interesting flashlight tours. We're going to call it Red, White, and Boo. and different things like that. We're going to have some fun and games here at the jail on July 3rd and 4th. We'll be posting all of that information. But we've started up our ghost walks again as well through the town of Huntsville. So just a lot of exciting things going on here. We've been hosting school kids for the last 3 weeks during our general admission tours. So great kids from different summer camps that have been going on. So just a lot of fun things that are going on down here.
Yeah, we just added our July calendar up today, actually, because we've got 3 more ghost walks scheduled for this month, and people were like, "Oh, we got to get down there for July because we're not here in June." So we've got July, August, and a couple flashlight tours all the way through September scheduled. But we'll be putting more stuff up here over the next week as well.
Mm-hmm. So on your flashlight tours, I'm curious, when somebody comes and does that, does anybody after the fact say, you know what, I got to book an investigation, I need more?
Yeah, mostly they graduate up to a public ghost hunt,
Okay.
which Miranda and I will lead. Obviously, Miranda of Ghost Biker Exploration and myself from Soul Sisters Paranormal. So we actually lead those. We bring our tools out. It's a 3-hour tour and investigation with us. And we go throughout the jail. It's very intimate, so we only allow 8 people to come in with us, and so that's usually what they gravitate up to or graduate up to, and then some of them do go ahead and book their private paranormal investigation after that.
Yeah, when we do the flashlight tour, so those aren't full immersive ghost hunts.
Okay.
So what we do on the flashlight tour is we give you a in-depth, intimate tour of the jail, talking about not just the history, but also the paranormal claims.
Okay.
We do a little tiny mini session upstairs, which kind of gives folks a little bit of a taste to kind of entice them to do that.
Okay.
And then with the ghost hunt, like Dr. Sumner said, it's a full immersive ghost hunt. We encourage people to bring their tools. We have some tools here that people can use, and typically we'll investigate for 2 hours with them, and if they so choose to go off on their own, they'll get an hour to go off by themselves.
Okay, that's awesome. Do you have any questions? Like, I'm here, so what is something you would like to know from the ladies about this location?
Well, I'm wondering, have you guys already been doing some investigation since you got there? Not yet.
Not yet.
Tonight. I mean, we did the tour. They took us on the amazing museum tour, and I highly recommend it. They're very knowledgeable. They are really smooth in their presentation. I mean, do you expect anything less from these two?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so, it's such an easy flow, which I wouldn't think would be easy in a location like this, right? Because you're talking about a jail, and you're going upstairs in these little rooms that you're going into, but they've got it down, and they've got so many amazing pieces of history, newspapers, pictures, and they truly know this location in and out. I mean,
What do you think is your most active room or active spirit?
We think, for me personally, I do believe it's the spirit of Richard Ellis. He was a sheriff that was killed right outside our front door in August of 1925. He was also a Baptist preacher. And so we have a lot of responses when we play religious music, especially Amazing Grace. We start to get a lot of activity on the REM pods, on the K2 meters. We hear a lot of whistling. That's something that started here within the last month or two. Mm-hmm. Whistling has become extremely prevalent here. Humming has become prevalent here. So for me, I think Richard Ellis is probably our most dominant spirit. But the history of the jail, it runs from 1904 up until 2008. So a lot of history, a lot of longevity there with regard to the inmates that have passed through here, and the jailers and sheriffs as well. And so, we've got a lot of different claims and a lot of different haunts and a lot of different spirits.
Yeah, and in the different rooms, I mean, each room can have, multiple types of activity, just because with each administration, the rooms changed. So, so you may have a room down here that was originally the jailer's quarters, but it was also an area where, when we had some of the lynchings here, where some of the most aggressive activity took place at the door. It was also a women's cell at the time. Our gift shop was once the kitchen. It was also medical and an interrogation room. Second floor was once maximum security. Now it's trustees. So the activity varies from time to time, and just because you get something that may not kind of fit what the room is like right now doesn't mean that it's off. The rooms just had multi purposes.
Wow. That's an interesting point, because I never thought about that, because the places, they keep remodeling and moving things around. And so you might get a ghost that seems out of place, but they're actually not. I never even thought about that. That's really interesting. Huh.
Yeah, it's a very when I first came in here and we started the tour, there was a couple places that I just felt a little off, and not like I just little swimmy, maybe a little heavy headed. But then we ate, and right now I feel better. So I don't know if it was low blood sugar or if
it was a spiritual low blood sugar.
I'm not quite sure yet. Well, I'll work on that tonight. But I feel much better here, so I don't know. I don't know.
Well, a good trigger item here is food and sweets, especially. So you never know, you might be channeling.
That's right. And I'll.
Somebody may be hungry.
That's right. Well, and listen, I feel that the hangry thing we got in common here. So it will be, I think, I'm not quite sure. On the tour, I was trying to get a feel of like what would be a good challenge for me. I think after some of my experiences at Heyman House, I'm just kind of curious, now I'm in a completely different setting, and some of the stuff that was happening at Heyman was very personal. And so now I'm here, right? Like, and I really, this morning I struggled a little bit about feeling very vulnerable after Heyman House, and not in any kind of bad way, but just really kind of did some things that I'm not used to doing in front of people and sort of sharing in how I work. And so doing that, and especially in this paranormal hangout situation, right? It was just a few of us. I feel a little different coming here right now. So I'm curious how that's going to either enhance or change how I investigate, or if it will be similar at all. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I almost feel like sometimes when you investigate multiple places in a close time, that things do carry over. And I almost feel like the more you're doing it, the more it enhances your experience, and you end up like having an easier time making contact, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys find that also.
Yeah, you guys invest and here's the thing, and I appreciate that very much, Rob. For me, I don't get to investigate as much, right, as I would like to. I watch, everybody that I watch on social media, and there's really barely a weekend that they're not out there right, doing their jobs as investigators. And I don't do that. I'm sort of once or twice a year with my sisters, one comes in or I go visit one and we do an investigation. So I'm not inundated in this, every weekend or every month even, right? So this is going to be a lot. This is either going to be like a wedding letdown, like after this week, I'm going to be like really disappointed that I don't have anything coming up right like immediately, or it's going to be a real eye-opening experience. I'm not quite sure which way it's going to go.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to find out.
It will, right? I'm kind of excited about that. So doing some experiments here, you guys, like what is something with all the investigators that have been through, like what is something that you're like, what's your best thing that you find investigators get? Is it EVPs? Is it, doing something more on like an EDI box or REM pod? What do you feel?
Honestly, the disembodied voices that we've captured here, not just ourselves, but also the other investigative teams who have come, to me have been some of the best. We've been doing this for almost a decade now and been to some of the most haunted locations, but we've captured, and some other teams have captured, some great EVPs here. And it really runs the gamut. We've got disembodied voices, we've got shadow figures, we've got footsteps. We've had great examples of footsteps, door slamming, as I said before, the whistling and the humming. So I think for me, I'd say the EVPs are really outstanding here.
Yeah, they are very, very good, especially the disembodied voices. I'd probably have to say the shadow figures. And I don't know if it's just because, and then also full body apparitions. We see a lot of full body apparitions in reflections. So, and what I mean by that is from like the articles and frames we have on the wall, you can be looking at those and you'll see somebody standing behind you. So I don't know if I feel that I see that more just because I'm here all the time, or if they're just more prevalent, but we see those a lot and people get them in a lot of pictures and videos.
Do you feel like your activity has increased since like when you opened it and the experiences you were having, to everybody coming through, doing investigations, you're there all the time? Do you feel like the activity has, like, the energy has built from all that?
Yeah, I think the energy's always been here, honestly. I mean, from the moment that Miranda and I got the keys to this location, we've had experiences, and it just never fails to let us down. I mean, there'll be times as a location owner, we'll be talking to each other and just like, please let the teams have a good night tonight or something like that. And honestly, the jail almost never disappoints. I'm going to knock on wood right now, but there's
Sarah's
always
there.
yeah, right. So, but it just seems like there's always something here, whether it be a disembodied voice or a door slam, or as Miranda said, a shadow figure that zips across upstairs or something like that. And a lot of the investigators, to Miranda's point, have personal experiences here, whether it be a reflection in one of our pictures or feeling touched. We've gotten that a lot lately, especially female investigators. So I mean, it's just always here, ladies.
I know.
And it may be quiet sometimes on the investigations, but usually, to Christy's point, usually they get something. And so, obviously if they're sitting there watching the page and they see a picture get ripped off the wall and thrown 4.5 feet, I mean, that's not an everyday occurrence here. The team that is here, we've had 2 teams here over the last 3 days, and one of them had a little bit of a quieter night, still had some subtleties that happened. Well, then the next night, people were getting tapped on the head. They were seeing shadow figures. They were having the doors open, and they were able to capture the doors opening and slamming. So even though it can be quiet sometimes, there's still a lot of subtleties that happen, and a seasoned investigator can really appreciate that and know that, that's kind of more the norm, but it's usually always something.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're for a treat.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, I'd like to spend some time alone in some area of the jail to see if, right, like, first of all, I mean, again, I've never done a jail and or a prison situation. This will be my first. So, some of the things that I've heard, like them talk about voices hearing in the stairwell, you've got the steps going up, kind of like a lighthouse, very similar. So can I sit there by myself if they were on the 3rd floor and wait for the voice? Can I be in a different part of this? I don't know. Like right now I feel all good and like I'm going to be brave. What about you? How do you think? Jen's just sitting here. She's my date tonight. Yeah. Like, what are you thinking?
I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. Yeah. So, just the evidence that Miranda and Christy has shared as of late, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to get in and see what's going to happen.
She's fun. She is a lot of fun to investigate with. Like I got to do post town with her.
Yeah.
And, this is going to be, I think, a great night. And then, my sister's over there. I'm sorry. First of all, I'm sitting next to somebody. So I was that kid in school that got in trouble. You can't put me next to anybody else.
Passing notes.
That's right. We're passing notes. My sister's in there getting M&Ms or something and I can hear it. And so going on. Yeah, I think like to be in this situation, it feels so good. And you're like, oh, this is going to be great, but it's daytime. Right? It's still light outside. And I think kind of when the town quiets down a little bit, right, then suddenly, everything kind of, I think, opens up here. That's kind of the impression I get. And so, yeah. And I think, Dehu, you're mentioning the clear EVP from the drunk tank, and that is definitely one area. There's some sad stories from that drunk tank. So that is one area that I would like to sit in as well. So yeah,
I'm curious to know how quiet, it's a small town. It's like what the population is, 2,000?
200 and something here.
200.
Yeah, it's small.
Oh, wow. So everybody they just go home and that's it. And it's quiet. There's no traffic. That's ideal for investigating too, that it's so quiet.
Yeah, there are some nights, I mean, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry. There are some nights where we are close to Brimstone, which is an ATV park. But sometimes they'll come, roaring through, but that's not the norm. Typically it's very quiet. And it's a really good place to investigate because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I've been to so many places where there's so much noise outside that's impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and honestly, I think driving in as well from, we started out Sunday morning or whatever, late Sunday morning from West Virginia. So I've kind of been driving in not very populated areas the last couple days. And when you're coming in from Kentucky and then you're driving into Tennessee, I mean, you're in the mountains and you're just kind of like, so it's that you kind of, when you're driving on a road, you don't realize how enveloped you really are in these sorts of, the geography here. So it's going to be dark here.
Does it feel very spiritual? Like I always hear about, I've never been in that area of the country at all. So like in my mind, I feel like it's very spiritual and like you kind of like a whole different vibe, right? Is it?
Well, when you say spiritual, I mean, it's very religious.
No, I mean more like you just feel history in the wind kind of movement that's not there. I don't know how to describe it.
You'll feel it. It's being here in the Appalachian Mountains, it has its own sort of feel when it comes to the spirits and that sort of thing, because this area is very different from that. It's rooted very traditionally, so it does have a different feel, especially when you kind of get back we're very rural here anyways, but when you get even further back in the rural areas, you can definitely feel the spiritualism.
Right. Like I imagine like Fae and like all the elementals and like, do they talk about that a lot in the area? Is that known?
People who kind of think like us, a little bit, they do. But, to Sarah's point, there is the religious aspect, right? I mean, we're not only the buckle of the Bible Belt, that little thing in the buckle, that's really what this is right now, the Scott County. I mean, we can look outside the door here and see 3 churches.
Wow.
So, you do have that aspect, but, if you talk about Bigfoot or talk about Fays or something like that, there are people that will have that discussion with you, but for the most part, it's just kind of those that come in like, Sara or those that are other investigators.
Yeah, so they must love my Jeep with all the Bigfoot garb all over it.
Yeah, they know where you're going.
Yeah, they must think that's fantastic.
Exactly. She'll be in revival next week.
That's right. It's okay. And the cool thing is too, so part of this little tour that kind of went from, I'm coming to see my gals here in Tennessee because you just have to, and then Jen came in from Florida, which this is a complete treat. Kind of turned into this side trip to West Virginia, which was amazing, to this jail tonight. We're going to go do a day tour, I believe, of the Brushy Mountain Prison. So I'm so excited to finally, it's like placing a person with a name finally, right? I get to meet this being that they all talk about. Yeah. So, and then on Wednesday night, staying in the abandoned utopian village of Rugby. Oh yeah, you would love this, Dee Dee. It is all Victorian homes. So it was this utopian that was set up by an author, and of course I don't remember his name. Ladies, if you Henry
Thomas Hughes.
Thomas Hughes. Not even right. Not even close. So whoever Henry is, I apologize.
If this was Wordle, you do.
That's right. Don't even try Wordle. It's not even worth it.
The house you all are staying in is Sir Henry's.
Oh, it is?
I think so.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There you go, Henry. Rob, is that weird? I just, since the Heyman house, this whole name's coming to me. Maybe this is something new for me. But it was abandoned, but there are people living in the town. And if you build any new homes on the properties in this town of Rugby, they must conform to the Victorian style. So this is your place, Dee Dee.
Yeah, I should be living there.
You should absolutely live there. So, so we're gonna stay at the Newberry House. And it is, so this is not necessarily a town that is set up for paranormal investigators. They do come. So this is not necessarily a place that investigators sort of, right, it's not booked all the time with it. This is just an abandoned town, and these homes are open to rent. And, I don't know, maybe it's a little hidden gem. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah, and it's a British town. It has a British theme to it. And so they do all kinds of really cool things throughout the year. They have a British car show, British motorcycle show. They had the maypole sitting out front tonight. So it's a lot of things like that. They have tea like there. It's really cool. They'll dress up in the Victorian garb. So they have stuff all throughout the year. That's just really fascinating, so it's a different kind of community. They do some really unique things just based on how they were built.
So maybe this is how we get you here, and you can stay for a while, right? You can rent.
You won't get me to leave.
Rent a home, and we'll do this little utopia in town, and then you can do the jail. And there are all sorts of amazing little cemeteries that I'm hoping to take a little here and there that are throughout. Yeah. So it's it's this is going to be a lot of different locations for a short amount of time. And I think just that whole, I'm kind of bubbling up. I'm not going to lie. Like it's kind of, it's exciting, and it's exciting to get to do it with amazing people. As we were driving in today, my sister sort of pointed out that we started it off with investigating with the guys, and now we're going to investigate with the ladies. And there's going to be we're going to see who did it better. Probably. Is there really any doubt? Come on. There's no question, right? It's the ladies. For sure. What else? Like, what else do you want to know about this like amazing area? Anything that comes to your mind?
Well, I want to know, did you go out to eat at a restaurant there? And what's it like?
So I did. I was taken to one of their favorite little places called Brooks General Store. Oh. Amazing. I had a cheeseburger, of course. I think most of us did. I think most of us were chowing down. Miranda got her fried bologna sandwich. I'm a Polak. Gotta love fried bologna, or else you're not a Polak.
I never heard of it.
Oh my God, it's so delicious.
I've never heard of that.
It is amazing. So it was this location has so much stuff. I believe, Miranda, you said it was a 4th generation owner. Yeah. And she's a lovely, lovely person named Tiffany. And sweet little girl was working there. When I come to the South, I just forget. Like, I'm just a sucker for Southern hospitality. I'm just not gonna lie. There's just something about coming to places and people are just thank you and smile.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah. Well, I've never been, so
yeah, we gotta.
I want to go someplace where people are nice. That sounds amazing.
You need to come here, live in Rugby, and eat bologna, and become a Southerner.
Yeah, that'll be something new experience for me.
Or at least do it for a week. Do it for a week. Leave.
Yeah, you won't want to leave. Tennessee is an amazing state, and I mean, I'm not here long enough. Once again, but it's 7 hours. So once again, I'm just going to tell you guys, get in your freaking cars. Buy some cheap ass snacks. I don't know. Go to the dollar store. Like we filled up coolers, right? And just come on down and make the trip. It's 7 hours for me from Detroit, which is not a bad. It's just not a bad travel. When we made this plan, I said, let's try West Virginia first. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was like only a couple hours from here. I didn't realize that it was 7 hours to West Virginia, 5 hours to Tennessee, and then 7 hours back home.
So the way the crow flies.
Yeah, as the crow flies. Yeah, didn't seem that bad. So we'll be getting, probably over 1,200 miles in this trip. But we're trying to be smart about the gas and the food. I'm trying to take notes. We're kind of noting how anybody can do paranormal this summer. I mean, look, it's hard. We've talked about this. Gas, food, like it hurts, it hits. But we also don't want to hit these sorts of businesses. We don't want to forget about them. And I promise you, there are things we don't need in our daily lives that we pay for. And when this stuff if it doesn't survive, you're going to be sad. You will regret that. So, these are things that I will do all day long to keep these things going, because these people are amazing. And so get in your cars. Just come. Just do it. Just come do it. What else?
Somebody had mentioned, do you think you'll do the Estes method? Do you guys you're going to do that? Because I'd be curious. That's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that tonight. I think you mentioned doing it in the drunk tank. Absolutely. There's a couple of little rooms that we don't allow the general public to go into that we're going to crack open and allow the ladies tonight to sit in there for a little bit. So that could be kind of interesting because they had different purposes as well. And some different experiments we're going to try tonight. It's great because, we can obviously be here. If we need to extend till tomorrow night, we may try a little bit different stuff tomorrow night as well. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, is anybody willing to come pick me up and drive my car back? Like, I will pay if somebody wants. I'm going to be like exhausted come, Thursday, Friday, and be like, I can't come home. I'm just going to have to stay and sleep for a while. I think the Estes method, although I don't think that's just not something that seems to work for me very well. wasn't super great for me even at the Heyman house. It doesn't seem to, I don't know, maybe. So but I definitely like sitting in the quiet in these, certain areas and just kind of, yeah. Like I noticed, investigating on Saturday that really not a ton of equipment was used. I mean, yeah, you set up the REM pads or something so you can hear if something breaks those barriers while you're in another room. But it was all recording. So, it is kind of nice. And I haven't taken a lot of pictures, or I haven't really done a lot of documenting photography wise, because I've noticed this trip, even driving and stuff, it's just about being in this moment, what is going on around me. And I feel that's worked for me. I feel that things that have been happening, things that I'm experiencing seem a little bit more, enhanced. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but I think we just lose ourselves. We've talked about this. We lose ourselves with too much equipment, right? We're busy setting it up. We're busy checking batteries and what's going off. And then as you're looking what's going off, maybe you're missing something around you, so yeah. And maybe I'll walk around with these girls and maybe I'll document what they're doing.
Yeah. You got to snap some pictures for me though, because that's my thing. And there's something about, I agree with you. I like to sit very quietly and just sit in an area and kind of wait for them to come to me and not force things. Mm-hmm. But I love to just take pictures. Like anytime I go, I take like probably 400 pictures. Then it's like, oh, I have 400 pictures, but I can't help it. I mean, that's, as you know, that's kind of my lucky spot.
Yeah.
So. I'm hoping for pictures.
And I'll take you on a little, I don't want to carry anything around here while I'm doing the show, but I will I'll walk around with you, Dee, so you can see where we're at. And, I guess that's the other thing, like the pictures are great. And when investigators share with you from the jail, I think it's great, but it does not give you the correct representation about what you're going to be in when you're here. This is actually very different than I had envisioned in my head, right? Like just from how they would talk about what they were doing, or, things that I've seen from other investigators. And I kind of came in going, not what I thought at all.
Like for first moment you walked into the door. Yeah. She said, well, this is different.
Yeah. Pictures don't do things justice sometimes. That's for sure. And I think, again, you have to be immersed in this. And because I've never done a jail or prison, this is a good segue into that, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Let's see. D-Hoot saying, keep an eye on Sally. Yeah. Sally, she walked around with us and there were times she was a little hesitant. And even Jen's like, I think she's seeing something. And she does. I don't know. I'm curious. She has kind of a crazy little meow that she does. And I'm wondering if that's a different meow for when she's seeing something, or, I don't know. Kind of interesting though.
That is interesting. Maybe to have the cat lead you, because I do believe that does the cat seem to go and stick to a certain area, or?
Yeah, there are those she'll avoid. She does not go up to the third floor by herself at all. Even if there's one person, she's very hesitant to go up. Now, if a group goes up, like when the 5 of us went up today, she will tag along, but she's very reluctant to do so. She'll meow the whole way, kind of begrudgingly. All right, I'm coming. So she seemed to be pretty sensitive. She knows where she wants to go and definitely where she doesn't.
And can we talk about what goes on the third floor? Like, what are the rumors of, or the experiences people have had up there?
Well, the third floor is maximum security. So, but of course at one time, the second floor was as well. So it's kind of interesting because it seems like she doesn't really care for the kitchen on the second floor. And now I will say yesterday, when I was here by myself, she did like going up there with me just because I don't know if it was a protection type thing. She went the whole time, stayed there. When I was working in a cell, she laid down in the cell, so she's fine like that. But in general, that's an irregularity, but we have had more aggressive type activity. Not when I say aggressive, it's a more emotional area up there on the third floor because that's where the inmates who were lynched, where most of them were taken out from. So, so you've got just that intense activity up there.
So up there we get shadow figures. Footsteps are extremely prevalent. I know Miranda was here with the team, and she was giving them the historical walkthrough before their investigation, and she said they heard great footsteps walking around. I've heard disembodied voices, some of the best disembodied voices I've ever heard. I've heard up there while I'm here by myself. And just extremely clear. So door slamming is extremely prevalent as well as K2s and REM pods. Miranda and I were here the other night, which was the anniversary of one of our lynchings from the jail. And we just had this amazing REM pod experience where we had a REM pod in one cell and then another REM pod in the cell right beside it. And they were both going off on command, and they turn off on command, turn on and turn off. We were doing some different experiments with it, and I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen REM pods behave like that before. So some different things happen here that are very unique to the jail.
Yeah, we were kind of experimenting with some sound frequencies. And so when we would play a certain sound or a certain frequency that's known for spirit communication, instantly within seconds after what we played, both REM pods at the same time were going off. And so, of course, when we stopped, there was a little bit of a lag, but then they stopped. And it did it 3 different times while we played that frequency. So, I mean, it I don't know, it was something different that I've never experienced before.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were also getting those knocks.
Yeah.
When we were on command after we played that frequency.
Wow. Rob's asking, was it 19 megahertz? Did I say that right?
No, 963.
The God frequency.
Yeah.
963.
Oh.
Interesting. So I'm curious in something like this, if I were to try, and Maureen, I notice it's not that I'm not great at meditation that I can do. I cannot envision myself. So it's different for me. I actually just know it's not about, for me, it's just not about envisioning. Hypnotize, I don't know that I can be hypnotized. That might be a little different, but I'm curious in this setting how something like a Reiki would work. And I'm curious if they would be curious about it. Again, it's not a home situation, right? It's not this is not it's comfortable, but it's not a place of comfort, right? This is a jail. So would they be curious about what was going on if I were to Reiki someone?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah, and Didi, not to interrupt, but yes, this jail is, and like I said, I've been to so many different locations around the country. This is probably one of the most intelligent locations as far as responses. They know they'll respond to what you're wearing. They'll mention, your clothing. They'll mention events that are going on. You'll hear things that are in direct response to what you're asking. So extremely intelligent and extremely aware of what's going on. So the fact that you'll try Reiki, I think they'd be very interested in that.
Wow. Are they still taking things from you? Because I know when you guys first got into the place that you would have missing items. Did they ever return, and are they still taking stuff from you?
They have not returned. We were talking about that earlier today. So the first couple of weeks we were in here, Miranda actually found a razor blade that was taped up under a little ledge that had been essentially contraband. That is missing. A pair of scissors is missing. A pane of glass from a picture frame is missing.
11 by 14.
How does that work?
Glass is just gone. It's gone. And we have yet to find it. And and the pair of scissors that we had were like this, and they had red handles on it.
Yeah.
No red handles.
So what is our theory here? Let's just talk about this for a second. We've got some time.
Mm-hmm.
We're locked up.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. Let's talk about this for a second. What is our theory here about items going missing? Do we feel they go elsewhere, that they have just dematerialized, or what are we thinking here, ladies?
I don't know. I've only ever had that happen one time, and that was at the Nickerson Sneed house. And Jake Fife and I were investigating, and we had a K2 meter that we were using. Ironically, the camera that we had, the static cam we had sitting up, it went out. Mm-hmm. And after it went out, we couldn't find, so it was right where the K2 was.
Okay.
So the camera goes out. we're focusing on elsewhere. When we turn around, the K2 is gone, and the K2 was back in the base camp area. We hadn't even been in there. It was sitting in an area that we hadn't even been to. That's the only time I've ever had something like that happen. And we were sitting there trying to figure out why that would, how did it get there? Yeah. And then it's just crazy that my camera cut out at that time where it would have been flashed right on the table where everything was sitting.
I mean, do we think these things just float to the next spot?
Well, I think they're moved around. I think they're still in here somewhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of survival in a prison, in the jail, was the tools that you had, right? The shanks, the shivs that you created.
Yeah.
And that was your defense mechanism if you were in a gang or, somebody threatened your life. Well, no. This is what I can use to retaliate against that threat. So for me, I personally think that they're still here. They are hidden.
Okay.
As I said before, there are a couple rooms that we don't go into. Just because they have like the air conditioning handlers and stuff like that inside. We just have them zip tied shut. So, I mean, we are going to look in those and see if we can find them. But I think they're here. Miranda actually was on a remote viewing with a psychic, and she said, don't be surprised if you find the scissors on the 3rd floor. Yeah. They were taken from the 2nd floor. The only thing that we ever got back was a paint scraper that went missing from the 2nd floor, and it belonged to Miranda's father. And so finally Miranda got fed up and she yelled, stop taking our stuff and give me my paint scraper back. And she found it on the 3rd floor. Yeah. So I think it's here. I think we will find it. Yeah. But I think right now it's hidden for their safety purposes, what they feel is their safety.
Yeah. And I mean, you got to think about it too, that this happened just after we came in and started going through the stuff. So again, people look at that as a weapon, but as Christy said, it's more of a safety or defense. They don't know us, we're new in their area. So I can totally understand the mentality. They're wanting to protect themselves if they still have that mentality of being an inmate. So it wouldn't surprise me if something doesn't turn up in a very unsuspecting area.
I know I can't, I just can't let that kind of stuff go. And Maureen, I see that you say they go into another dimension. So I get you have something, right? And you leave it here. And then you go back to get it and it's gone. So does it go through the veil? And, if that's the case, because you kind of think about when people have their experiences and they feel they go elsewhere. And really what you're probably more talking about something mentally, correct? You go somewhere else mentally. So is it possible that you go somewhere mentally while you're here as them? Could it be a channeling thing that you lose time in some way, that you're actually the one physically picking your body, but not you mentally, right? And you pick it up and you place it somewhere as another person? Because how would you take a scraper? I mean, I guess because where I go with it is we hear investigators all the time say, well, it takes a lot of energy. And I'm not dispelling that. It takes a lot of energy for a ghost to do something as little as pushing something, right? And now we expect that they're going to pick up a scraper and go put it somewhere else. So is it something that they do to us that you lose time, but you're physically doing it, but under the direction of them? Am I going anywhere with this?
No, I mean, it makes sense. I would have never believed it. Yeah. We hear it all the time at locations. I've heard the girls at Brushy Mountain talk about that. And in my mind, I always thought, you've set something down, you've done something subconsciously, and it's like you didn't leave it where you thought you left it. I would have never believed it had it not happened to us, and I'm still kind of in disbelief as, to where it could be. Could a mouse have picked it up and moved off? I mean, we don't have razor.
You got killer mice.
I don't like that, but,
oh my God.
What could it be?
Right.
always trying to come up with some kind of logical explanation.
Yeah. Watch your back. The mice here are very dangerous.
Yeah. Yes.
Handled scissors.
Well, I lived in a house once years ago, and my toothbrush would always disappear. We had this cabinet. It was a really old house, and it did have activity. And it had a cabinet on the shelf where I kept my toothbrush and all the toiletries and stuff. And my toothbrush always disappeared, and I always thought it was the person I lived with. And I would find it, and everything in the cabinet, I was kind of messy, so everything was just kind of piled in there. Everything would be pushed aside, and the toothbrush would be there. And I thought that he was doing it. Same thing was happening to him, and he thought I was doing it.
Oh,
So that's a lot of physical. I mean, they're all little objects like, toiletries, but they're still it was being done in a way to let me know. And I thought mice too, but the mice didn't like bring it back and push everything aside, So weird stuff can happen like that. I don't know.
I mean, oral hygiene is important, no matter what you're doing.
Using my
So,
toothbrush.
that's right.
But it is very interesting. I've never seen the razor blade. I've yet to see it because it had vanished by the time I got back into the building, and so I've yet to know where that is or see it. And again, those scissors were sitting right there on that table. One of us went up to retrieve them, and they're gone. So I don't, like I said, I don't think it has gone to another dimension. I think it's here and we just moved.
That's what I think too. Hidden.
Yeah. I guess I'm just trying to figure out though how they go
Yeah.
from one location to another, and if they go in through the veil and then back out to where they want to place them. I mean, again, I don't think things are floating through the air to where they want to move them.
But if
So-
they can touch you,
And
I mean, if
move
you
doors.
move doors.
The doors move here.
and
all
the
day.
doors, yeah.
So there's a physical movement of objects. Just
I mean, we had them throw a picture off the wall.
Yeah,
And
so
we
see-
saw it.
And I guess that's
You
the
know?
stuff that I go through in my head anyways. I'm not sure, I can't take it for face value, right? So you start thinking like, then maybe that theory that it takes so much energy for them isn't necessarily true. And, maybe there are different versions of these spirits, maybe some come in higher than others. I would assume we're all different levels of living, right? So why not all different levels of dead? But, these are the things that, especially I think about a lot with them, because you're immersed in this almost every day. Like you're in a location every day,
Every day.
Every day. So, what does that mean? Like the things that you just, you could explore. And I don't know, I'll try asking them tonight. I'll ask any question to these ghosts. They can either answer or not, right? And, I'm a big believer in just ask.
Yeah.
Just ask.
And I think to Miranda's point earlier, it's just they have become more familiar with
Yeah.
us and more comfortable with us, right? Because at the beginning, the first couple of weeks we were here, I mean, it was, oh my gosh, we're going to be
Yeah.
here every night. It's going to be awesome. And it's like, can we go home now? So, but they have become extremely comfortable with us. Obviously more familiar. We get different responses than teams will. And I think that's just the nature of being in a location a lot. But to your point earlier, Dee Dee, things have not gone missing recently, but I just don't think they need to show us that they can.
Do you think you get, okay, so you guys take on, you guys swap, like who's going to do investigations? Because it's hard to work in the museum during the day and then stay up all night for an investigation. So you guys swap, and you've got two separate teams. You have Soul Sisters and you have Ghost Biker, and they're very different. Do you find when you guys each take on an investigation, and I don't know if you've ever done like, if you've got a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or whatever, I don't know if you guys swap back and forth or if one person just takes them all that weekend, but do you ever find that there's certain activity that happens when Soul Sisters in the house and certain activity when Ghost Bikers in the house? Does it ever switch up and change a little bit?
Oh, it doesn't even have to be on investigations. I mean, just
Okay.
during the course of a day.
Okay.
For example, there was one day when I went upstairs, I was here by myself. I went up to the third floor because we obviously have to open in the morning. So I was up on the third floor, and I just happened to have my cup of coffee with me. And I said, "Good morning. Anybody want a cup of coffee?" And this male voice said, "Open your eyes."
Oh.
Right. So disembodied voices are things that I hear. Miranda seems to attract a lot of humming, whistling, footsteps. I mean, I've heard footsteps once here. Miranda seems to hear them a lot.
Okay.
So it's just there's different attractions. I think Miranda's a little bit more in tune to it. She seems to sense more things than I do, but I seem to audibly hear a lot more. So there's those differences, and that's just on a day-to-day basis.
Sure.
Yeah, and for the most part, we're very hands off when it comes to the teams. We don't jump into the investigations with them. We've had a couple friends who have come that's invited us to investigate, and a lot of teams that have invited, but because we are a smaller location, for myself personally, I don't like to add to the head count. Now, if it's a quieter night and they want me to walk around with them, and I will, to see if it will attract some activity. I have had times, because we're on site but out of sight. So I have had at times where I've heard stuff in the room that I've been in and had activity going on when they've been in a different area. But really, most of the involvement that we have during this is whenever we walk around, giving the tours. So usually, Christy and I will come in together and meet the team, and then one of us will stay. But we have had times where they've been separate, and just one of us have come in. So, and those couple times, I know for myself, when it's been me, we've heard audible footsteps with the team. People have been touched and different things happen. A couple times, that's when a lot of the activity happened, and then it was kind of quieter some of the night. But at least for the investigations for myself, I sit there with noise canceling headphones on. I really want to be, give them their experience and not be influenced or anything at all.
But you probably still are. I mean, as you said, your day to day, you're there, you're here. The jail is now a part of you, right? Like, or you're a part of it. They've absorbed you as much as you absorbed them. So regardless if you're not you're out of sight, I would assume, that there are those spirits who are like, hey, Miranda's here tonight, or hey, Kris is here tonight, and
I think so.
They might show up.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
What about that box you guys had? I know a while back ago, and I don't know if it ever got resolved. You had a box and it was an object somebody gave you. Do you still have that?
Well, the experiment has ended. So to what Dee Dee was referring to is we were actually conducting an experiment here at the jail. So it ran from January up until the end of May. And inside this container was an object or objects, we don't know which, that a detective put into this container. And it was related to the jail, and it was related to a murder. That's all we knew. We don't know names, dates, times. We don't know what the object was. So our intent was to allow investigative teams to come in and essentially have a session with this item. They could do anything that they wanted except record it. And so they could have EVP sessions, they could have dowsing rod sessions, and they were to write down anything they felt, heard, smelled, sensed, saw, anything like that. They were to put it in an envelope, seal it, sign it, and then the detective is going to go through all of those envelopes, read out the responses and what the teams put on there, and see if any of them could tell anything about the item, what the item was, who it was related to, what year it was related to. So the experiment ended May 31st, and we are still getting with the detective. We have the coordinated time to get with him, and he's going to go through those envelopes, and then we will reveal the results of that study. So the experiment has ended, but our results are still forthcoming.
Yeah,
I'm excited to hear.
The experiment with the teams, and so we're still finishing a little bit with us internally. So
I can't wait to hear what it is. It was like somebody said there's something in a box, and I'm like in my mind trying to see something, but I never did.
Yeah, and again, it's not what you thought. I got to take a little peek at what this little thing is, and it is a clear, I think it's acrylic. I don't know if it's glass or acrylic, but it appears to be like an acrylic box on a tripod. And it's a whole box with a tripod in it with this tin something in there, and you're like, what the heck? Like, you won't. It's such a great, like, what a great experiment. And I do hope that they continue to do this, because we were discussing this, and so many times as investigators and teams, we think we have our little ways of doing things, and this really, you want to talk about the great equalizer. This is the way to make this, if you're saying you're this intuitive person, or that you can feel things or whatever, here's your chance. You know, you don't get to touch it. You're going to have the same opportunity that every single person has. And, what's kind of cool is I would love, and I don't know, these pieces of paper they fill out, I would assume there's team names or something, right? Mm-hmm. But I would be curious if any of these people were close or got it, were they people that even thought they were intuitive? They just wanted to give it a try. Like, I'm curious, like, how this will pan out for just regular old people, like myself, that would be like, wow, like, I could figure that out. Yeah, because I don't think you could. Just looking at it, you cannot just figure it out.
And it's not just intuitives. I mean, because the way we have it set up, if you're intuitive, great. I mean, you use whatever tools you have in your toolbox. If it's yourself, fantastic. But then also, REM pods and the EDI plus box, all of these different tools, we're seeing how it reacts to that. And, we all have a different connection to our own tools. Yeah. So what works for one might be dowsing rods, but what works for another might be their intuition. So that's what's going to be fascinating, is to see how the spirits or the jail itself decides it wants to communicate with people. And, we haven't really decided how we're going to release the study yet, but I know for me, it's more about just seeing what the tools people have used, what the reactions have been to this, and then just what we can find out, more so than just what the item in the box is.
Right. And just to clarify, the item itself is not haunted. It's not a haunted item. It's an item that this guy had related to a case. And so what we're wanting the jail or the spirits of the jail to tell us or give us hints, again, color, dates, times, names, anything like that are associated with this item. So that's really what the experiment was about. And our hope was to eliminate all bias out of it, because we don't even know what it is.
No.
So we can't influence you at all.
Right.
So it's not, it's not this parlor trick game that we're trying to play. We're legitimately trying to see if we can get answers from the jail.
Yeah. And we're not going to, we've kind of talked about this, but we're not going to go and be like, Team A got it correct.
Yeah,
They're the
that's
winners.
not what
There's no
Right.
winner in
Right.
this. We may not even release names as to, and in fact, that's kind of really where we were going with this, that it's like, if you are an intuitive or a psychic or a medium, you don't have to feel like this is a test on your abilities.
Right.
This is help us out,
Yeah.
and, it may be just that the activity changes when this item is brought into the room. It doesn't have to be, you get these answers. If you don't get answers, hey, that's just like your typical investigation.
Right.
You may not get something.
Right.
So it's, it's not a win or lose type situation.
Right.
Oh, we got 57 minutes. Look at that. It was like 20 minutes and now we're 57 minutes. Look at that. So this weekend has started off with a bang. Thank you guys for joining us and again to be lovely hosts, and I look forward to once again investigating with the girls and Jen, because she's my special girl.
Yeah, Jen, thanks for being so involved over there.
Yeah. She's just sitting-
Listen, I'm like Penn and Teller. So you got to have a silent one in the group.
Right. So Dee Dee, I'll keep you posted when I have a moment. It's going to be a little busy here in the next few days, but I'll discuss some things with you that I probably won't share with everybody because I don't know if I want it out there for public consumption, but thank you, Danny. It was a great show, right? Like, it's always great to be with Soul Sisters and Ghost Biker and the jail. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I'll try to post as much as I can. Thanks, Travis. And then, if anything happens, Dee Dee, maybe throughout the night, I'll give you I'll say that, but I don't know if I'll be wrapped up in it.
I'm not staying up all night. No.
All night waiting for me, but you're behind, right? You're 4 hours behind. So
Yeah, it's only 5 o'clock.
I'll throw you on live and I'll walk you around a little bit so you can see where I am and what I'm doing. And thank you guys for your time and thanks to our people in the chat. As always, you guys are awesome and always add to the conversation. We appreciate that. And I should be home Thursday unless I'm too tired. Then maybe Friday unless I can get a bite on somebody coming, like fly, I'll pick you up and then you just go back to Detroit. So, I'll pay for a cheeseburger or something. So next week, I don't even know what next week is. Oh,
I don't remember.
Is it Kitsy Duncan?
She is the last Monday of the month.
Okay. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't even know what day it is. I know it's Monday.
It'll be
But
the 20th, I believe. Yeah, it'll be the 20th. It was Rick, but Rick is coming in August, so we had somebody else, I thought.
I don't know.
I
Listen,
hope so.
I'm road trip Sarah right now. I have no.
I don't know what my excuse is.
I brought these and I didn't even do it. I'm so really excited. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And hey, whatever next Monday is, we'll just wing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll keep you in the loop here, Dee Dee. And thank you so much. You guys have a great evening.
Yeah.
Thanks,
You guys too.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.